So we'll just pick up from there. So, for Windwalkers, the changes have been few but high quality. So Mastery has been redesigned again. Our Bottled Fury now gives a chance to generate an additional charge of Tiger Eye Brew when the monk gains one normally. With the Mastery, it's not too hard to get to about 50% to get us back to the point where it's like getting one every 3 chi spent instead of 4. So it's not going to be too hard to get that. So another change is Storm, Earth, and Fire. It now deals 70% damage, up from 60% with 1 spirit summoned, and 55% up from 45% with 2 spirits summoned. Big buff here. This is going to be our key ability of 5.4. This will allow us to do insane cleave damage. So, another tip is Tiger Eye Brew received an adjustment. So instead of Mastery affecting it, since Mastery's changed, it now gains 6% damage per stack, up from 1%, but it's no longer increased by Mastery. So, and a charge of Tiger Eye Brew is now gained for each 4 chi consumed instead of 3. But with Mastery, it should feel more like it did in 5.3 with 3%. So it will allow us to burst, but not crazy burst like we used to be able to. So it's kind of an evening of our damage instead of huge spikes. So not that much change to the Windwalker. Buff to Storm, Earth, and Fire, change in Mastery, which we're used to, and changes to talents, the main difference of which is the level 90 talent tier. The Tiger Eye Brew change was needed and will help us be a little less bursty and higher sustained damage. Add in a Legendary Cloak, and monks have just become the most badass cleave class in the game. So that is our strength, is cleave AoE damage. So Mistweavers, they got a little bit more of a change. So Duke, what do you see?
Oh, we got a bit of an adjustment. I think one of the things that Blizzard has been targeting is our burst ability. I don't think they want monks to really have a strong burst like Priest and Druids do. Spinning King Kick got changed to a Smart Heal. We covered that earlier. Manatee, the nice thing about Manatee is that now it's consumed twice as quickly, so it's 1 stack per half second. That's going to be a really useful change, because sitting there and trying to gulp down Manatee for 20 stacks used to take forever. Now it only takes half a forever. The big one, Revival has been reduced by 30%. Now, mostly heroic progression teams are going to be the one really hurt by this, and they're going to look at a healer with better burst. Normal progression teams, you're not going to notice much of a difference because as you scale up in your gear, your revival will also get better, and eventually it'll get back to about where it was. Chi Brew changes, it's got 2 charges. It's mathematically the same. It's now 2 GCDs instead of 1, so probably the optimal thing is Chi Brew uplift, and move on with your life. What else? Specific to us, Power Strikes activates from Expel Harm, which is going to be nice if you take that glyph. It's also going to activate from Spinning Crane Kick if it hits 3 targets. The same is true of Rushing Jadewind. Now, there's a lot of commentary about how that's it, reroll, we're done as a class, nobody's going to take us as healers, and that's not really true.
Sky is not falling.
It's not true for Windwalkers. It's not true for Windwalkers. It's not true for Mistweavers. Brewmasters never had a problem. If your focus is on normal raiding, it's going to slow you down a little bit at the beginning, but once you're about 3 or 4 bosses in, 3 or 4 drops in, you're not really going to notice. And the really nice thing about Mistweaver is that we are still one of the most mobile healers and one of the most flexible healers. So if you're a normal raiding, here's what you want to do. Your burst isn't going to be that great. Team yourself up with a healer that does have good burst. A really good one that we act well with is a shaman. Shamans have great burst when everyone's stacked together. We can pump out heals when everyone is spread apart. And then you put in either a paladin or a disciplined priest for the big spot heals. 553 gear that's going to drop out of normal is going to be awesome. The 540 out of flex, that's still going to be 18 item levels higher than you got out of normal Throne of Thunder. So if you're doing flex, if you're doing normal, you're going to get a big bump. The other thing is that you probably want to get some more spirit again, get up to about 8 or 9 spirit, and you want to balance that with crit. And what I mean by that is as you find yourself with less and less more and more mana left as a fight ends, start taking away from spirit and adding it to your crit, and then you're going to have bigger hits. And like I said, it's not the end of the world. It really isn't. We're going to be just fine. People are going to need Mistweavers in their heals. They're not going to go, oh god, a Mistweaver, not you guys again. It's really not the end of the world.
Yeah, I'm still keeping you around when we go into Siege. So
Yay!
you're not kicked out yet. All right, now Yuki, any thoughts on Mistweaver?
No, Duke's exactly correct. Even though we have a nerf with the revival, we still bring a lot to the table. The dispels, debuffs, with the poisons magics. But as far as heroic and hardcore raiding, you're gonna see druids and shamans coming out very, very strong. But if you're a Mistweaver, don't worry. We're still in a good place, like Duke was saying. As far as tier 16 PS sets for the hardcore rating, this is pretty good, and it makes mastery a little more desirable. What the 2-piece does is when Gift of the Serpent Spheres heal a player, they gain an absorb for 45% of the amount healed. So we're kind of like a Disc Priest. We're bubbling people for 45%. But as far as a 4-piece bonus, what that does is your Renewing Mist heals the target and it sends out a free chi wave that doesn't bounce, but it goes to the nearby low health friendly target. This is minor compared to the tier 15 2-piece set. So heroic, according to the forums, heroic raiders aren't really impressed by this, and I'll probably use other gear instead and use the legendary cloak procs as a replacement. And I agree. I'm not really liking this 4-piece set. It's kind of weak for me, especially
it's
it
pretty.
being a 4-piece set. Well,
yeah,
the
but
legendary cloak.
if you're looking to min-max, the best possible thing, especially if you're still a little low in gear, is have 2-piece tier 16 and 2-piece tier 15. Because the 2-piece tier 15, we're gonna miss. It's gonna be awful.
Yep. Totally agree.
And for a refresher, that's the one that every time Renewing Mist bounces, it does an extra 15% on the hot to that person. So the third person it hits has a 30% buff on top, which means Renewing Mist was healing for a lot. That's going to hurt.
Mm-hmm. That is going to hurt to be missed. All right. Okay, let's move on to legendaries. So, Sunir, are you still there?
I think we lost her.
Sweet.
I think it was raid time.
It might be raid time. So, all right, I'll just take her. All right, so for those that have completed the legendary quest line far enough to get the epic cloak, you should be able to unlock the legendary in just a few hours in the Timeless Isle. I went in right before a show, and I downed all 4 bosses, and I'm about halfway to the Timeless Coins, so it really doesn't take too long. If you do it at the right time, you can catch a random pug non-group to kill all the celestial bosses. That's what I did. You just need to grind the Timeless Coins. So when you get the Legendary Cloak upgrade, you need to have the cloak you want to upgrade first equipped before using the item. I'd heard it will upgrade all cloaks in your inventory, but that did not work. That has changed when the patch went live. If you want a second Legendary Cloak for another spec or gear setup, all you have to do is purchase the Epic Cloak and Legendary Upgrade for a total of 7,087 gold per. So for monks, if you bounce around and have spec ADD like I do, you'll have 3 different cloaks you'll use, so it'll cost you a total of a little over 14,000 gold. And Sunir gets the question all the time, and she's going to say it again, and I'll say it for her. If you only have resources for 1 cloak, she recommends the Brewmaster start with the tanking legendary because it has better stats. However, all that's really stopping you from having both is a little more than 7k. So the DPS Legendary Cloak is not as good as the Meta Gem was last tier, but it's still a damage boost. In a similar vein, the Tank Meta Gem should have somewhere between 30 and 50% uptime, and DPS meta has been significantly nerfed, so she recommends starting out with the Tank meta. As before, it doesn't hurt to have 2 different helms with 2 different metas to min-max each specific encounter. So let's go over the tier bonuses. For Brewmaster, tier 16, 2-piece. When your Black Ox statue guards another player, you also get a guard for 8% of that amount. So that's always handy. That's just a free absorb. And Purifying Brew also heals you for 15% of the amount of staggered damage cleared. And usually when you're needing to clear by using Purifying Brew, you've taken some damage, so already pretty good. So tier 16 is pretty good for Brewmasters. She would not recommend dropping any item levels for it, like swapping a normal piece for LFR. And you don't necessarily have to be in a hurry to drop tier 15, but you should get tier 16 4-piece as soon as you can. So we already went over the Mistweaver stuff. Anything you guys want to add?
You know, when it comes to the 2-piece, yeah, it's going to make mastery a little bit more attractive, but we still have the worst mastery in the world because people need to run over the balls. And I don't know how people keep constantly missing these giant glowing balls of pure health that will only help you if you run into them.
Right.
You have to move your character to do that one.
Yeah.
That's why. You can't sit there and just AFK through rotation like as a mage and just, or, you know, like I'm not going to move from my root of power.
Yeah, and I've said it before. I've continued to use the glyph of the longer lasting healing spheres, the enduring spheres, because I find that at 3 minutes people tend to run them over accidentally more often than not.
But that
So
one's
there's a
getting
good tip.
removed, though. Isn't it? Isn't it the one that's getting removed? It's for
No, that one's still there.
Okay.
At least the last I checked.
Okay.
I always wondered if Blizzard could make it a way where it would, after a certain amount of time, it would like go to the nearest person within 10 yards and you could actually see it just like, I don't know, like
roll its way along.
yeah,
it's
kind of
supposed to
like the
explode
origin
after 30 seconds.
Diablo, like how you get health and how you get the other spears in Diablo running around. Why can't they do that in World of Warcraft? You know, if you run close to it, not actually like through it or on it, you'd get that healing sphere. And I think a lot of Mistweavers would rather go mastery if that was the case.
Well, they do explode now after a certain amount of time, don't they?
Yeah,
But
they
still
do explode,
radius,
but
though.
only for half damage, and it's within 8 yards.
Right.
Exactly.
What if they made it to like more of a smart heal where they basically, whenever it exploded, it just healed the lowest health person at the time? That'd probably make it a lot more beneficial, right? Like you'd probably want to stack mastery.
Actually, what
Well,
I would love
if
is
they
if
were
it
in
turned
range.
into a mini Zen sphere, and only went about half the time. If it
Well, I mean,
was
like-
just, sorry,
Go ahead. Oh, I was just like having him like explode for the raid, like raid wide after they explode is what I meant. Not like necessarily within where they
okay,
land.
so just increased a range.
Yeah, increase the range to everybody that's in the raid at that time.
Yeah,
That might not be
1,000
too
yards.
bad. It would still make your mastery a little bit more, still a little weaker because it's going to have to be capped on how much it's going to heal. I would really prefer if the ball just kind of attached to someone and exploded after 10, 15 seconds, something like that, something like a mini Zen sphere.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, then, okay, it's kind of useful. It's going to hit a random low health target near the monk or whatever you want to do it, and then after 15 seconds it explodes. So it's not going to be an instant thing where all of a sudden there's going to be balls everywhere exploding. But
Yeah. Well.
hey, we got shiny green balls that blow. What do you want?
Yeah. See. Well, if Windwalker's gonna have 3 different tiers and 3 different masteries, I don't see why you guys can't. So. All right, Windwalker.
6.0 is going to be a huge thing
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah, because they're going to be completely reworking you guys from what they said. So good luck with that. Windwalker 2-piece set. Tiger Palm, or Combo Breaker Tiger Palm, increases the damage of Tiger Palm by 40%. And Combo Breaker Blackout Kick increases the damage of Blackout Kick by 40%. So these are 2 abilities we use quite a bit. And so just extra damage, not bad. It's not a bad 2-piece. I'm not going to avoid it. 4-piece. Every 10 stacks of Tiger Eye Brew consumed cause your next Rising Sun Kick, Blackout Kick, or Fist of Fury to consume 1 last chi. So that'll be nice because when you use your Tiger Eye Brew is when you're in burst mode, you're having less less chi consumed, always good. Makes your Fist of Fury only worth 2, which helps. So these are not
4 or 5 blackout kicks in a row.
right. Yeah, these are not bad bad pieces. I mean, I look at them like, okay, I'll take that. I don't know if I had better stats or better item levels on other pieces, I'd probably drop it. They're not phenomenal. What do you think, Golvin?
Well, the percentage that you're actually gaining from the 4-piece is really a huge chunk of damage boost because of that 1 less chi. Being able to utilize it when you pop it, it actually is working out to be a really huge boost, and even with the 2-piece as well with that 50%. So it's like you said, it's more going to be probably based on item levels. I mean, I guess you probably wouldn't want 549 stuff right now for all the flex level ones, but I would probably see that might be actually be with double upgrades. It might be worth it to maybe drop down to pick up a 2-piece. Like if you get like a normal 1, and then you can get a flex 1. That'd probably actually be a good combo to use because it is a huge boost.
All right. Well, let's send our spirits to the Peak of Serenity with
Zen Pilgrimage.
So, Zen Pilgrimage is where we go around the world of Azeroth and take a look at all you wonderful monks out there. So, let's take a bit of shameless cross-promotion here. So, our guest, Golvin, has started a monk podcast that features monks from the community, including Rotund and others, to talk about specific monk issues of the day. So, tell us how we can listen to your show, Golvin.
Yeah, you can reach us on monkcraftpodcast.com or at monkpodcast on Twitter if you want to follow, and then I usually tweet out when I put a show up. It's mainly geared towards like theory crafting in a sense, so it's more of like people with numbers and pencils and stuff, and more in sense in line with like how to squeeze out like an extra 1.1% of your like heal or your DPS or not die as often for the brewmasters. But it's mainly using some reforges that might not be what people are accept to be the norm, and going with something different, seeing how that actually parses out and all that kind of stuff. So it's more of like a little niche market than maybe more of like a general topics of like talent changes. It's all associated with rating and more of that high end.
Now, your last episode I listened to today was a Windwalker roundtable with Rotan and a few other guests. Very good information. Helped us see where we were going in 5.4, and I think your rest in peace thing at the beginning was maybe a little too much, but I think we're absolutely fine. I guess that was
we try to make it fun, for also, I don't want to be like all gloom and doom with everybody kind of reading the forums and whatnot. So if there's anything that's like a hot topic, like I think actually the first one that I did with Rotund was that's when Lore came out with his you don't know how to play type of thing,
right.
So like a learn to play episode, and then so it's like it was perfect, it like lined up perfectly, so we kind of rolled with that. No pun intended there, but just went with that, and then kind of going on. And actually the recent episode, which I'm not even sure if it's up on iTunes yet, last night I talked to Dot from Midwinter before he's actually able to get his clears in, and so we talked about Brewmaster, and so
I heard that show. That was a really good show.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to especially talking to those people. I mean, he's going for a world first, so he knew, like, he's parsed everything. Like, he's not going in blind, like, oh, let's try it out. Everything's on paper. He has mathematics to back it up and everything like that, and it's really good. And especially, hopefully, he'll be on when it's over, and then I can talk to how the tier went for him, which will probably be like 3 weeks.
Yeah,
they're even faster than I am. I mean, I say I'm a progression rater, but I'm not as hardcore as they are, where they're going to be done like in 2 weeks after the heroics
Midwinter's in a completely different realm that we don't even begin to understand how that game works.
It's a completely different game. Heroic rating is a different thing than what we do. So it's always interesting talking to those guys. So
definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, but go and check me out there. And, I'll try to put one up once a week, but we're always looking for like Mistweavers to like anybody that's like into theory crafting and brewmasters. So we want to have like more of like a community, so that people that may be interested in questions because I know Senior gets a bunch of Brewmaster questions and stuff like that about what to do. So you know, it's kind of like that, kind of like having a place where someone can go and listen to, like on their drive to work or while working.
Right.
or
I'm always jealous of
anything
you
like that.
guys too, because you can keep your episodes under an hour.
Oh yeah, I make sure I have like a little timer and everything, and it beeps at me and it looks angrily because I want to keep them short.
Yep.
Because if we talk too much, then we kind of ramble on certain subjects.
Wait, talk too much?
What's
pe-
that like?
Wait, what? Okay. So speaking of talking too much, Valen EU, the guy who provided us the loot card before, I don't know how that segue actually worked, but okay. He's like a monk Santa Claus.
Sorry, Valen.
Yeah. So he's giving away a Tabard of the Flame loot card. And we at the show are also tossing in 2 Brewmaster Monk pets from the pet store. So it's a loot giveaway. Christmas in, what month is it? September? Yeah, a little bit early. But to win these, you'll have to be a little creative and do some campaigning as well. So we're going to have a screenshot contest. You have until... Ooh, thunderstorm. Interesting. You have until next show, September 24th, to submit a screenshot with the following theme. Your Zen pilgrimage backfires. Where did you end up? I want to see some creative usage of Zen pilgrimage here. So let's email your submissions and captions to monkmeditation@gmail.com. You have until start of next show to submit. We'll put all your submissions up on a Google Plus album available to the public. And then the top 3 with the most plus ones by the start of the next show, which will be October 8th, will be the big winners. So, that's it for rules and regulations. Just listen to what I just said. Okay. Now, Yuki, you have some shout-outs?
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to Gulvin for filling in as a guest on the show.
Woo!
Great to have him here, and hope to have him again in the future. I mean, always happy to have a fellow monks join in, and for those of you watching live in the dojo or listening live at home or listening in the car later on, I suggest you listen to Monkcraft Podcast. They're a good show, good on theory crafting. I listened to the first 2 episodes today, and I was blown away by all the info that was going in through my skull.
Yeah, it's a good podcast, and I'm really glad that there are more out there, because this is an awesome class and the community is great, and so I'm really glad that there's another podcast out there, and it fills a niche that we don't fill, because we don't do too much theory crafting here, because math is hard, and so we're more a community podcast, I think, reaching out to just let people know what's going on in the monk community and what changes are coming around and everything like that. So you fill a good niche, and thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll definitely be on again. It's definitely a lot of fun. Obviously, when I've work or anything like that, luckily today I took off because I know patch day is pretty hectic. So it was definitely a pleasure to be on, and definitely be anybody that's interested in community. Keep listening.
Right.
I'll definitely redirect all my theory crafting people to this one as well, because like you said, there's really nothing out there as far as the monks. This is such a new class. It's only one expansion role that there's warriors, there's mages out there, druids, all that kind of stuff that already have their own like little communities, and our community is still growing, and people are joining every week. You see MMOC posts springing up about how do I play my class to the, or what's this look like, or all that kind of stuff, and definitely want to keep everybody on the same page.
Right. And speaking of that, the next 4 episodes of Monk Meditation are going to be special roundtable editions. So next episode, we're going to start with Brewmasters, and it's going to be a Brewmaster roundtable featuring both Sunny and I, as well as Valen EU, who is also giving out that loot card. He's a great heroic raider, Brewmaster. That Random Geek with the 10-man perspective, and Basement, 25-man heroic raider. And we're also looking for Windwalkers and Mistweavers as well that run in raid teams, either normal, heroic, 10 or 25. It doesn't matter. If you're interested in talking the state of the class after 5.4, email me at monkmeditation@gmail.com. We'll get you set up. So I'm definitely going to reach out to Rotan, because I think he'd be a good guy to speak with. And I know I've already talked to Affinity, and if his rating progression doesn't kill him, then he'll be joining us for the Mistweaver one. So... All right. We've made it through a show. Definitely not 45 minutes, but I think it's time to get our furry butts finally out of here. But first, let's see some awesome 5-star reviews. Now, Yuki, do we have any this week?
Yep, this week we have one 5-star review from Iron Weakness. It says, "Top notch WoW podcast. What a great podcast. I've been listening since show number 0, and in fact, Monk Meditation was my introduction to World of WoW podcast, thanks to Sunny's blog. Thank you all for all the hard work you put into the show. It's entertaining, great information, and I know it will just get better. I'm looking forward to the upcoming roundtables. Keep bringing the fun with the monk."
Funk with the monk. Gotta keep it funky. Yeah. All right, thank you so much, Iron Weakness. It's reviews like that to keep us inspired and motivated to keep doing the show. So always glad to help entertain and provide a show for such an amazing monk community. So please rate us on iTunes, subscribe on YouTube or on twitch.tv. Helps get our numbers up there. And thank you all so much for listening. You can listen to us live in 2 weeks, Tuesday, September 24th at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time at twitch.tv/WowMonk. You can also listen after the fact on iTunes, Stitcher, twitch.tv, monkmeditation.com, where you can also buy the host a cup of mana tea for bringing you the best monk discussions on the interwebs. This is not just our podcast. We want it to be yours. So let us know where to find you. Twitch, Twitter, in-game, wherever else. Just help us prove the monk community is the greatest community in the World of Warcraft. Reach out to us individually or email the show at monkmeditation@gmail.com. You can reach us mainly via Twitter, so the best place for me is Twitter @WowMonk. You can also reach me in-game on Airy Peak or Argent Dawn US as Chai T. My battle tag is Chai T number 1806. I stream live on Fridays at 5:30 Pacific Time at twitch.tv/WowMonk, so you can watch my team Rolling Thunder enter Siege of Orgrimmar. Now, Yuki, where can we reach you?
All of you can find me on Twitter at naoyuki_CTR. That's NAOYUKI_CTR. You can also find me in-game on Airy Peak US as Naoyuki. My battle tag is Naoyuki, #1840. And you can email me at naoyukictr@gmail.com. If you have or want to submit one of your Confucius Say jokes to be heard on the show, you can send it to that email as well. I know Air's not here, so I'll cover for him. You can follow Air at AirMonk, AYRMONK. He can be found in the world of Azeroth on US Airy Peak as Air, spelled AYR.
Okay, and Duke?
You can find me on Twitter at DaikatsuCTR, or you can find me in-game as Daikatsu on Airy Peak. Best way to reach me in-game, though, is to hit my battle tag, and that's DUKROUS #1538.
Okay, and Sunnier will show her smiling face on here. All right, so you can find Sunnier at sunniersartofwar.com, where she has great guides out there, especially look at her for the 5.4 Brewmaster update. You can also follow her on Twitter at SunnierBear, and now she streams live on Twitch at twitch.tv/SunnierBear. She's raiding right now, so hop in after we're done here. All right,
And she already killed a Mercius.
Woo!
One shot.
One shot.
One shot.
Okay, I am deeply
We might
humble
get it in
now.
15 pulls, Chai.
Yeah, I'm counting on that. I think 15, 16. No, let's shoot for 15. That's good. Okay, and Golvin, where can we follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter at GolvinVersus, or you can hit me up on my guild's website at guild-angry.org/forum, and just PM Golvin on there if you have any questions. YouTube.com/GolvinVersus is where I have all my kill videos from past tiers. Normal and heroic. I do like a little gaming theme in the beginning of each one, so if you want to just check those out. And then twitch.tv/Golvin, I'm going to be trying to stream the entire raid tier this time. You have, of course, internet bearing, and then you get to catch me out there. And I'll actually be streaming in about 15 minutes or so.
All right, good luck. Hope you have as good luck as Sunnier did. So, one thing to point out, the Monk Meditation Flex team is going to be up and running this Saturday. We're going to do his first Flex run this Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, open to all Alliance monks. Item level about 510 would be preferred, but we're flexible, as is the raid mode.
We're starting with 510 just because we don't know how hard this is going to be. Odds are it's going to go either lower or higher. But either way, if you're over 500, we're not going to turn you away because
Nope.
you're a monk. That makes you better than everyone else.
Exactly, and we want to show the monks can just rock through that. Who needs range DPS, right? So if you want to sign up, we're using openraid.us for this. So I will put the link in the show notes, but you can also type in openraid.us/r/122110 to sign up. That will also be tweeted out soon as well. So sign up there, and we'll send out invites. If not, just hit me up on my battle tag against Chai T number 1806, and I can send out invites as we get started there. So we look forward to seeing you all. Hopefully 25 monks going in there and smacking around the first wing of flex mode. So Monk Meditation is a World of Warcraft fan podcast, copyright 2013. Certain audio portions belong entirely to Blizzard Entertainment, and no copyright infringement is intended. Thank you so much for attending Monk Meditation, students. Class is now dismissed.